Hello, Mr. Buzz. How's it going?
Very well. How are you, Alex?
I'm very good, sir. I'm very good. So this week we've got a film from 2019, which we both watched on Netflix. It's called Midsommar. So I believe it means middle of the summer, but in Swedish, because the whole film, well, most of the film happens in Sweden. So it's basically about the main character is Danny, which is played by Florence Pugh, which you've seen her in some really good films lately, including Black Widow. She's apparently the next Marvel film. And she plays this character that has literally just suffered a really big tragedy in the family. And she goes on a trip with her boyfriend and a few friends it's like a camp in Sweden, in a very remote place, where, she hopes she'll get some relief or some relaxation from the thought of the tragedy that just happened at family. Basically, her whole family dies without spoiling much because it just happens at the beginning. She has to go through that anxiety, and so I think she thinks that going to this camp trip is going to be helpful for her, like a break away from anything, and also it will help build her back a little bit of her relationship with the boyfriend. Turns out is none of that. Not
Quite
even
a
close.
coaster.
Quite a roller coaster. So this camp it looks on the surface a very happy place. Has the 9 days that they're there are actually during a festival.
A festival, yeah.
There's a lot of traditions, pagan I would call them traditions, that turn very, very dark.
Gruesome. It's very gruesome, man.
Yes, yeah. And it's otherworldly, I felt like, as soon as she steps into. And there's actually a clue in there that sort of explains that. But it all goes really, really...
Really south really quick.
South really quick. And it does make a big, massive impact on her. But what did you thought of it on first impression?
Yeah, as you say, straight from the get-go, it kind of reminded me of The Ritual. Now, with The Ritual, it's like, in the essence, that huge tragedy in the first 15 minutes of the film, and then said group of people go to a foreign country, it's like The Ritual, So this awful tragedy happens in the beginning with her sister essentially committing suicide and taking out both her parents. I won't spoil how it's done, but it's very haunting. And because of this, Danny is in an absolute emotional tragedy, and we kind of find out that her relationship with her boyfriend it isn't the best anyway, and his friends don't like it, but out of pity almost, he kind of stays with her because of his tragedy, and you can't dump your girlfriend after half a family's just been off.
And he invites her to Sweden.
He invites her to this thing, he invites her to this festival in Sweden, which one of, is it Chris, her boyfriend? Is it?
Chris, please.
Yeah, Chris, one of his friends.
Please.
Yeah, Jack Reynor. Yeah, one of his friends is a Swedish guy who's kind of invited them all on this trip. And, Danny ends up going with them, I think, like you say, to get almost some relief or some spiritual guidance from this tragedy of hers, and to rekindle things with her boyfriend. But you can see that the relationship between her and her boyfriend throughout the whole film is just... He's already strained. He's doing everything on paper that he should do, but there's no heart in it. You can tell he doesn't really care about her, and it's just little tells and ticks here and there that you can see. So it's quite hard to watch. And she's just alone in this place, really. She's completely alone. She hasn't. They're not her friends.
And think about it. She's completely alone. Her family's gone, and his boyfriend, and she's got no friends.
Yeah. And she's suffering. It's a film of suffering for her. There's several scenes where she's struggling to breathe because she's so emotionally strangled at this point.
I honestly thought it's more of a psychological thriller, because there are horror things happening in this camp based on these traditions. But what the camp does is provides her with the family that she's missing, with the support that she's missing, even though in their own weird, creepy way, this camp, the people in this camp, in this cult almost, like they do behave very awkwardly, and they have a very totally different set of standards than any human being.
But they do have that family element, don't they?
But they do have the family element. There's scenes in there where, remember when she's really, really struggling, and all the sisters, apparently, the woman in the camp, they come together and they scream with her, and they cry with
It's like a feeling her pain, actually. That happens a few times. I mean, that happened at the end of the film as well. There's a quite enigmatic sequence at the end of the film, and all of the villagers in the camp were like crying out because they were like empathizing with what they were seeing.
Yes.
And it was like, you know, they did that with Danny as well at one point in the film. But yeah, as you say, it's kind of a bit culty. You know, it's very like, I think we've all seen it before. We've all seen this film like before. It's like kind of this weird village people that are in the middle of nowhere, remote nowhere. There's hints of something weird going on. They're literally dancing around in a merry-go-round circle. You know, they have dances like that. There's always a burning effigy of some sort. You know, it's that kind of
there's
feel
always
to it.
There's always
isn't there?
a weird beverage or
there's always a weird beverage
or...
that might have psychedelic, you know, substances in it, and that makes it even stranger, you know. And that's one of the things I kind of enjoyed about the film, actually, because twice or three times they have a beverage or something, or they do actually take mushrooms at the start of the film. And I think the visuals that they did in the film to try and emulate what psychedelics is looking like is really fantastic. So like twice in the film, like grass is going through Danny's hand, and then she looks at her feet at one point, and her feet turn into hay. And then subtly in the scenes, like they have a big dinner scene like halfway through the film, a massive dining table, and subtly like the meats on the table and the fruits on the table are just kind of imploding and then closing down again, and you see that kind of like visual kind of you know, what would you call it, kind of visual trickery quite a lot through the scenes. And I think that just kind of remind people that whilst all this crazy stuff is going on, which is hard to understand anyway, our main characters are under the influence, you know. Yes,
absolutely. And also I like that fact that it shows you a little bit of how they see things under the influence, but also what a beautiful, I think, you know, 5 stars to the director, because the drawings and the paintings on the walls are the drawings are ever present, and they are very much telling what's happening. All those habits and traditions that are going to happen in the film, if you actually pay attention to the drawings on the walls or the drawings that they have on the clothing line, when the camera just pans over to these few sets of drawings, tells you exactly what's about to happen.
It's like literally like looking at scene by scene, isn't it? Like,
and it's almost like, you know how some films have a chapter 1, this, chapter 2, this. This film is broken down in photo. It shows you a drawing, and then the story starts. It shows you another drawing of something like the bear that burns, It shows you the drawing on the wall, and then the scene follows.
Then
earlier it shows you another thing exactly similar, and then the scene follows. So it's beautifully broken down.
Actually, you make a good point about that, don't you? Because I just realised on the washing line, when you see that, and it's a very what do you say? It's not leaving much to imagination. It's like a comic book, but it even involves Chris eating the woman's hair in the pie, and I actually didn't realise that until you just mentioned it then. So yeah, very good. It's like broken down into chapters, isn't it? And the chapter 2 was a particular picture. But very good film, man.
It's very good, and it's well played. Well, the actress is fantastic. I hope she gets an Oscar someday, because she's really good.
Absolutely fantastic. Pugh. And like visually, it's great as well.
It's called Midsommar, and it's all on Netflix. Cool.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you next week, sir.
Take care, Alex.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.